The final day of the Norway Chess 2025 and everything to play for. We have 4 players in with a chance to win the title, and one of them is on your screen. Fabiano Caruana was leading the tournament until the penultimate round when he lost to Magnus Carlsen, but he still has a chance if he beats Gukesh. But Gukesh has even a bigger chance in this event because currently he's on 14 and a half, and the leader of the tournament is Magnus Carlsen, who is on 15, and Magnus is playing Arjun. So if Magnus draws or loses and Gukesh wins or draws, there's a chance that he can win. And if Magnus loses and Fabi wins, then Fabi also has a chance to win the title. So technically a lot of results are possible, and this makes this game super exciting and interesting. Also, if you remember, in the candidates, we had this amazing moment where Gukesh and Fabiano were fighting for the top spot, and Gukesh drew with Hikaru. By the way, we had the guest here making the first move, d4. Gukesh drew against Hikaru, and then Fabi, if he had beaten Nepo, they would have played the tie breaks, but that was not to happen. And Gukesh had won the candidates and eventually gone on to become the world champion. Now, here's maybe a very interesting kind of a game with high stakes in the final round, and with everything to play for. Fabi takes back the pawn. Gukesh in his meditative pose, a handshake, and we start the clock. Will be super exciting to see what transpires. e4 by Caruana. And Gukesh, what is his opening going to be? He prefers to be solid and plays e5. The knight comes out to f3. Of course, both of them need to win. So even though e4, e5 is played, it's going to be quite a sharp game in my opinion. Knight c6, the bishop comes out to c4. We have the Italian on the board. The bishop is looking at the f7 square. And now Gukesh brings his knight out to f6. Fabi plays pawn to d3, playing for this slow Italian with c3, castles. Bishop c5 is the main move, but Gukesh goes h6. Wow. Gukesh trying to take some risks here, pushing his pawn to h6. Not the main line. a3 played by Caruana. Of course, he has some prep in this line as well. And Gukesh now goes for g6. So this is a very interesting decision by Team Gukesh. That is Gukesh, Gaevsky and his seconds, that we want to play something where we keep the position a little bit more sort of unknown, because in this terrain where the bishop goes to g7 instead of c5, less games have been played. Caruana plays h3, and one of the main ideas of this move is to put the bishop on e3 so that it doesn't get hit by knight g4. d6 played by Gukesh, opening up the bishop's diagonal. And now Caruana brings his bishop out. He would love to play queen d2 and attack here, and also in doing so, he's preparing long castling. Gukesh pushes his pawn to a6 because currently, if you see, both players are keeping their kings in the center. None of them wants to sort of show their hand. Queen d2 now stops black from castling because the h6 pawn would be falling. And bishop comes out to e6, facing off against each other. If you take, I'll take back with the pawn. Caruana takes on e6 here. And now pawn takes on e6 is taken. Yes, pawn takes e6 on the board. The knight comes back to e2. And this knight now maybe aims to go to g3. g5 played by Gukesh. But one of the ideas that Caruana has is to go c3, d4 perhaps. The knight goes to g3, looking at potentially a weak square on h5. And Gukesh brings his queen up to d7, opening up the possibilities to castle on both sides. Even white has this possibility. It's such a interesting battle where both the players are playing such stealthily, not revealing what they want to do. c3 by Caruana, still waiting. If you go here, I'll open it with h4. If you go this side, I'll open it with b4. And Gukesh is the first one to commit. He goes long side castling. And now, guys, b4 could be a very exciting move. And he plays it. Fabi goes for the attack. He's attacking maybe a4, b5. Gukesh must play in the center with d5. Because an attack on the flank must be met with a strike in the center. And Gukesh does it. He plays d5. He's opening up the position here. Mainly he's threatening d4 to trap the bishop on e3. So Caruana has to be careful. He plays his queen to e2. A very interesting decision. And now Gukesh can actually go rook g8 perhaps, but goes d4. And is the bishop trapped here? Well, not really. Pawn takes pawn. Now the bishop can drop back to d2. So takes back, pawn takes pawn here. The bishop comes back to d2. And now the idea here eventually for white is to somehow engineer a4, b5. But Gukesh's move stops that because it keeps the pressure on the b4 pawn. Fabi, what is he going to do? Rook b1 seems very logical here. And Gukesh gets up from the chair. Yes, rook b1. Fabi playing like a machine here. One good move after another, putting a lot of pressure on Gukesh. And knight to d7. Gukesh is actually trying to use his knights to control the dark squares. Short castling by Fabi here. And that's also an interesting move because it's not only about putting your king to safety, but also bringing the other rook into the attack. Knight jumps to h5, looking at this bishop. Until now, Fabi has played a flawless game of chess. And now Gukesh takes on f3 with a check. The queen will take back. It's a, both the players, both the pieces are fighting for the e5 square here. So queen takes f3. And now bishop e5. Just put the bishop in a central square. Yes, kind of dominating this knight. But now b5, Fabi is actually opening up the position. He doesn't want to go the slow route with a4, b5. He's like, get me this position. I'm going to take with my rook. I'm going to play rook c1 or maybe rook b1. Put pressure on these points. Rook takes b5 played. The attack is here and here. And also could happen on the c file. But Gukesh, he goes queen a3. More than winning a pawn, he's like, look, my queen is now inside your position. It is attacking d3 pawn. It's actively positioned. Rook c1 played now by Fabiano. And rook f8, putting pressure down this file on f2. Now the best thing to do is come back to e2 to defend d3. Because if you go to g4, I can take this pawn. And it's very, very complicated. So queen e2 played by Caruana. The problems that Gukesh faces are pressure along these files. And also needs to be very careful about the knight sort of joining in. So he goes bishop d6. Maybe he wants to play knight e5 next. But e5. Whoa. This move is incredible. Oh my god. Rook f5 pinning the pawn here. What a move by Gukesh. He looks at his opponent. Fabi now chops off the knight on c6. Fantastic chess. Like absolute fireworks here. Rook a5. So now the rook is defended by the bishop. He wants to take this bishop. He got this tempo in. Amazing chess. And now Gukesh goes queen b2. Maybe more accurate was queen b3. Keeping an eye on this e6 pawn. But Gukesh goes queen b2. Pawn takes pawn. And I believe you have to first capture the rook. So he takes. Is there a chance to check? Yes, that's why queen b3 would have been slightly better. But there are pros and cons of both these approaches. And now bishop takes a5 taken, putting pressure on the c7 pawn. Gukesh takes on d6. And now queen e7 to attack c7 pawn is a very good move. Yes, he finds queen e7. And now after queen a1 check, which is a great move by Gukesh as well. The bishop is hanging. You need to come back with the bishop. So this is the position. Let's take stock. 5 pawns for white. Black has 4 pawns for white, 5 pawns for black. Rook and a pawn actually for 2 minor pieces, and Gukesh pushes his pawn to c5. Maybe a better move here was queen a2 with the idea of queen a6 trading. And that would have given Gukesh good drawing chances, because now knight g3. I love how Fabi is very, very scientific in his approach. He's going to play king h2. He's going to get the knight in, then the bishop in somehow. f3, bishop g3, king h2. Beautiful. And even before black can get his pawns rolling, white is just breaking in. Now queen a2 played, maybe the best move, but it's already lost now. Knight e4 coming in. Finds the move. Knight c5 is hanging, and Fabi has 13 minutes. Gukesh has 8 minutes 43 seconds. Queen d5. If there's one thing that we have learned about Gukesh is that he never gives up. So he keeps on fighting till the bitter end, and can he do so today as well? Because Magnus on the other board is worse against Arjun. Could very well lose it. So whoever wins here might become the champion. Queen b4 check. And now, if you play rook b6, you're going to lose the c4 pawn. So king goes back. I don't know if Fabi wants to go for a check again. Maybe the king will move to b7. He plays queen a4, a very interesting move. Trying to put pressure here from queen a8. King comes up to b7. By the way, the threat was insane there, because imagine if you had taken, like for example, here, then check, king here, and knight f6 loses the queen. Such tactics, guys, such tactics. Bishop f2, Gukesh takes the pawn. Oh, he's going forward. Bishop d4. Now all 3 white pieces in the attack, but the d2 pawn is rushing down. The position has become super complicated. Gukesh goes rook a6. And look at Gukesh adjusting himself in the chair. He has 3 minutes 43 seconds. No need to write the moves anymore for him. Caruana has 9 minutes on the clock. King goes back to c8. And there's no way to sort of checkmate the king right now. Queen goes back to d8, offering a trade. If you trade here, black is completely fine. So Fabi goes back, queen c5. And now Gukesh plays rook e6. A very interesting move. Maybe he wants to chop and go d2, d1. That could be his idea. And Caruana plays queen c4. He has 6 minutes. Gukesh has only 26 seconds. And Gukesh finds an incredible defensive idea. If knight d6, queen d6 is a draw with a check. So he can't take the rook. Bishop e5 played by Caruana here. And now rook d5 coming in. Can Gukesh find this move with just 15 seconds on the clock? He finds it. Amazing move. For Fabi, it's now important to give a check. Reroute his bishop here. But he goes f4. That's a blunder. That's a mistake. Now d2 is coming in. Can Gukesh find it? Now this is a very, very important moment. He finds it. d2 on the board. The position has equalized. Bishop c7. Gukesh must take it. Take the bishop. Gukesh has very little time to calculate. He makes a queen. But this is a blunder because of bishop d8 check. And Caruana finds it. Check. King takes. And this very important move, knight c3, which forks. And Gukesh is stunned here. Unbelievable finish here. Look at Gukesh looking at the board. He's losing one of the pieces. And he can't believe this. He missed his chance there to draw. We are going to see what was the way to draw just after this game. But now, this moment, you can see Caruana knows it's over. Gukesh shakes hands there and then sits down at the board. He's so upset. This is something that he is not happy with. I mean, Caruana played an incredible game. Truth be told, he was winning for 90% of the game till some point, 95. And then Gukesh showed this insane defense with seconds on the clock, moving his rook from e6 to d6 to d5. And all of a sudden, Fabi was in so much pressure, such less time. He blundered, and Gukesh got a golden opportunity there, because if he had managed to draw this game, it would have been an Armageddon, because Magnus also drew his game against Arjun, which means that there could have been a chance. There you see there Magnus and Arjun have just finished their game in a draw. But because Gukesh lost, Magnus became the champion without even having to, even if he lost the Armageddon. So these are two stories. Magnus there with a smile on his face, escaping from a lost position against Arjun, and Gukesh there with such intense heartbreak. Like we've never seen Gukesh like this, sitting there for so long after the game, and there he looks up at the scorecard. He's going to not be very happy with it, but Magnus Carlsen became the champion of Norway Chess 2025. What a finish. Let's have a look at this key moment where Fabiano Caruana went wrong. After rook d5, he could have won with this very interesting move, queen a6 check, king b8, bishop g3, d2, bishop f2, queen, and now a check, king here, check on d4, beautiful move, check, king here, check, and then taking this. It was too difficult to calculate this line, but it did exist, and here with two pieces and a queen, they will outwit the two queens. As it turns out, he played this bishop to e5. Gukesh found a good move with rook d5. f4 was a mistake because of d2, and after bishop c7, what Gukesh had to find was queen takes c7. Not an easy move because your rook is hanging and you're also going to lose the pawn. But in comes queen takes f4 check. If you play knight f4, then with h5 or just king c7, this pin is too dangerous and the pawn is also very strong. You can't win it as white. So that's the reason why Fabi was intending to play after queen f4 the move g3 in the game. But what he had missed is queen takes e4, and queen, with the game ending in a draw here. Gukesh did not find queen takes c7 here, instead made a queen, but this was the moment where he missed the backward retreating knight fork, one of the most brutal knight forks, I would say, in the history of, that will go down in the history of chess, with Fabiano Caruana winning and finishing second, and Magnus Carlsen winning the Norway Chess there.